Good evening and welcome to hashtag Jeopardy Live panel presented by the JeopardyFan.com. Once again, I am Andy Saunders and I am moderating tonight's discussion. We have quite a panel this evening, so let's get right to the introductions. First up, we have JBoard moderator, J archivist, David Kendall. Thanks for joining us once again, Dave.
Hello.
Any news?
The second best thing going in Winnipeg right now.
The second best thing, yes. The best thing is there's some football game on, isn't there?
Yes.
I took some flack on Facebook earlier for apparently scheduling this right on top of the Grey Cup. Oh well. But my next introduction, he won 9 games, $213,000. That doesn't even count the tournament champions. Jason Keller, thanks for joining us once again, Jason. Last time you called yourself the Dick Button of Jeopardy Live panel.
Yes, I mean, sometimes I feel like, like maybe a certain very small sliver actually understands what I'm saying and everyone else is just like, I just wish this guy would shut up. That's how, I personally am a huge fan of Dick Button, and I think that some of the things that he says are apt and hilarious. Obviously, it's what it is. As I said, I wanted to joke about making, random comments about panelists last week in layback spins, but it's not quite there in my head yet.
Okay. So, our next introduction, she was on Thursday's episode. Marie Halverson Ganapola, thanks for joining us. I look forward to discussing this past week with someone who was actually at the studio when they taped.
Of course, thanks for having me.
And finally, we have one of the medalists from the Tournament of Panelists Kids Week, alum Aria Gerson.
Hi.
It's been a while since you were on. I believe you were in a production of Les Mis recently, were you not?
Yes, I was, actually.
How was that?
It was really amazing. Like, I've been in a lot of productions, but that was probably my favorite one that I've ever been in. It was just so cool to be able to do that.
So, out of curiosity, what role did you play?
I was a lovely lady, and a beggar, and a drunkard, and a cleaning lady, and a bunch of other factory worker.
Okay, cool.
Not a huge cast, I guess.
Hmm?
Not a really big cast, I guess. You have to play many roles.
Yeah, it was like an ensemble thing. So there was like 12 of us, and we were all of those parts.
Uh-huh.
By the way, if anyone does have any comments they'd like to leave for the panel, there's a good chance I'll read them out on the air, presuming they're appropriate. But just leave them with the hashtag Jeopardy Live panel. Apparently, there's one here on the hashtag from you, Jason. A comment towards Carrie Green saying that you should get me to have a very special "What are you drinking?" Jeopardy Live panel. That might be a good one for an April Fool's joke too.
This is true.
April Fool's jokes just before we went on the air, but yes, a "What are you drinking?" Jeopardy Live panel. That might be interesting. So, I guess let's get straight down to talking about this week in Jeopardy. The show kind of went viral this week. That's probably the best way of opening it. I guess my question, and I think, Marie, you might have some insight to this as well. In the studio, were you, after what you saw in the studio, were you surprised to see Laura go viral?
I was to see it go viral in that way. I mean, I wasn't surprised to see the first few comments, but she was just, in person, she was just such a lovely person and obviously very bright. And the announcer, in between tapings or during commercial breaks, you know how Alex or Johnny will take questions, and they were talking at one point this was before my taping, and I was just in the audience, about how they had to be very clear about what people were saying, when they, gave their wagers or answered. And they did mention, with our current champion, you've seen how her voice goes up at the end, and so we have to be very clear about what she's saying. But it was just a comment in passing, and of course we noticed it, but during the rest of the day, I don't remember noticing anything like that. So I thought, this could be just nerves. This could be her way of just getting through the game, doing what she needs to do. So I was surprised to see the vitriol that was, aimed in her direction, and I felt really bad about it.
Now, did it surprise anyone else to see Jeopardy go viral in that way?
I mean, unfortunately, I think that a lot of coverage that happens on Jeopardy, unfortunately, it's either that someone's winning. It seems to be one of two things. It's either that someone's winning a lot of games, or someone did something during a game that was, you think about. What was it? Things like Age of Consent or Pansy, or this is the worst mid-round story that we've ever heard, or here's some sports thing that none of the contestants knew. So unfortunately, I think that it's something that, and it actually reminds me that during my regular season games, I won a game because early on because my opponent made a very curious wager. And I just said I thought it was interesting. She just, in the spirit of the game, was like, that I personally deserve to win the game, and she just was playing for second. So I was like, I'm sure that unfortunately you're probably going to hear from that on the boards. I think that would have been interesting if we were in a slightly more social media positioned, areas where I don't think that anyone for a wager is going to get knocked for that. But it doesn't surprise me. To me personally, as a tutor, I have students who uptalk. So for me, it was just something that was just a little bit distracting, but not nearly. But people like to be on the sidelines and do that. There were a lot of people during my run who were criticizing the way that I dressed, which, considering the size that I was at the time, and considering that I was very much in transit and didn't want to be carrying a whole wardrobe with me, it just was, a little bit, it was a little insensitive, but unfortunately that's how people are. And so, I do wish, one thing that I regret is that I think that I, personally, and you've heard this from me before, I'd like to discuss more content, which I think it goes by the wayside a lot. I think that it's something that's taken for granted, and I would love to see a little bit more about content and not just about, oh, look at these three contestants who didn't know that, about some football coach or something. I can't think of a specific name off the top of my head. But.
Well, Jeopardy's been going viral a lot lately, I noticed. It seems like almost every week there's another story about Jeopardy or, some contestant that did something. So I feel like, it's just, and it's kind of stupid that that was what was going viral. Like other people said, I feel like it should be something more... that's not just her voice, but I actually didn't see Laura's first game because I had a dress rehearsal for Les Mis and the episode didn't record. So I heard everyone talking about her on Twitter and stuff, and I was not sure what they were all talking about. And I'm just thinking, really, how annoying can it really be? Is it really that? It didn't seem like something that was that big of a deal. And then I watched her game and I was like, well, she's good, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I was going to say, actually, I didn't catch the full episode, sorry to interrupt, but I did see there was a category that Jeopardy a lot of times will post categories on Facebook. And so I was able to just see her and her opponents go through one category, and I was like, okay. So I can see that rubbing some people the wrong way, but not to that extent.
Yeah, it's just the internet being what it is. I mean, I like to think that the second thing ever posted on the internet was something making fun of the first thing ever posted on the internet. It's just the way the internet has always been. So, am I surprised that Jeopardy has gone viral that way? No. Am I disappointed? Absolutely. But yeah, that's just the way it is. I guess speaking as a J-board moderator, I mean, we have to deal with these kind of things all the time. People coming in and posting negative things about people, and it's just the internet makes it so easy for people to do that. I don't think there was that much buzz about any contestants who probably had odd ways of speaking. I know I've seen YouTube clips and things like that of really old episodes, and nobody really remembers who they are. But if they were airing today, oh, did you hear that guy? His voice sounds so nasally and all that. I know there's the expression, any publicity is good publicity, and I'm sure Jeopardy sees it that way because, hey, Jeopardy's going viral, that's good for Jeopardy, but there are better things to go viral about, exactly.
And one time I went to Twitter and I searched all the tweets from the day that my episode aired with hashtag Jeopardy, found all the negative things that had been said about me, and I retweeted all of them. Like, yeah. Aria looks like a giant strawberry, and I'm just like, retweet.
Alex Jacob did that too, if I recall, and that's really the good attitude to have about it, retweeting. And I remember Arthur Chu was making a video about Shake It Off because of all his detractors, and haters are gonna hate, so you might as well have a really good attitude about it.
You do realize, Aria, that now that you've said that, Jennifer Morrow is probably going to Photoshop you as a giant strawberry.
The Photoshop queen.
Well, bring it on.
Yes, I'm sure. Yes, so I'm sure she's.
Let's make the whole panel a veritable fruit bowl because you know I'm all about the orange.
It wouldn't be the first time we called a fruit.
Everyone else choose a fruit, and we can get Jen Morrow on this ASAP.
Yeah,
it wouldn't be the first time I was called a
fruit. Yeah. Ari's a strawberry, Jason's an orange. Let's see. What fruit do I want to be? Let's go pineapple.
Do this on the next tournament of panelists.
Yes. Je suis un ananas.
It's Canadian law. You have to say everything in English and French.
I'm surprised you didn't pick up on my reference there, David, being Canadian and all that.
No, I got that you were saying it in French as well.
Yes, but no. In fact, it's a reference to the beloved Canadian show, Télé Français, where it is an educational program designed to teach French to elementary school students. And most people my age got to watch it in class. And one of the characters was a giant pineapple named Ananas.
Oh, okay. It must be an Ontario thing because it doesn't ring any bells.
Okay, so so if you're listening and you're a big fan of Télé Français, feel free to tweet at us, and I'm probably going to read out on the panel just so you know.
One of you.
Well, okay. So, let's see. Moving on. I think this is probably a good time for This Week in Jeopardy history. The week of November 30th. If you had a bet on whether or not I was going to mention the 2004 game and specifics, I guess, happy Jeopardiversary to Nancy Zerk. She beat a rather famous person in her only victory back 11 years ago. On a question about H&R Block. However, what I really want to talk about, the year prior, not the year prior, 2 years prior, in season 19, Faith Love became the first person to go 0 for 5 in Final Jeopardy this week, 13 years ago. So my question based on that to the entire panel, would you take going 0 for 5 in Final Jeopardy? Would you be okay with that?
Absolutely. If you,
Sorry, go ahead, Jason.
Jason just wants the question repeated.
I broke up.
Yeah, sorry. Would you be okay going 0 for 5 in Final Jeopardy?
My philosophy of it is if you can go 0 for 5 and still win 5 games, you're obviously tearing it up in regular Jeopardy and double Jeopardy, and you probably have a lock. So sure, absolutely. I mean, everybody that I've seen go 0 for 4 or 5 or whatever, they're really good players. So yeah, I mean, I would love to have something like that. Heck, I'd love to win 5 games no matter how, but I wouldn't mind doing that.
For the record, Faith actually won her first 4 and missed and then lost the 5th to Raj Duwalia, who you might have heard of if you're familiar with Learned League or even The Chase. So,
did she have runaway locks in her first 4?
Surprisingly, not.
Really?
Yeah, she actually also for the wagering geeks, you might know that the Faith Love wagering scenario is named after what happened in one of her games. I don't remember the specifics but basically, she won simply out of having wagered 0 out of the lead because that's what the math dictated. So.
Oh, okay, that's what the Faith says.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd definitely be okay with going 0 for 5 because, like I said, it means I win 4 games or 5 games or 4 games, I guess. And I'd be good with that. Plus, I go 0 for 5 in those J-board polls more than I would care to admit. So.
I feel like this is a really hard one because just going 0 for 1 for me was just very embarrassing. But yeah, I think I would because I had so much fun playing the game. If it meant I could play at least 4 more times, I would do it.
I would kind of hope that in a run of 5 finals that I would know at least one. So, yeah, I kind and I mean even in the lock situation, I'm still trying to get the right answer. Maybe playing with a little bit of house money, maybe just that if I'm in a tournament situation, maybe I want to be thinking out Final Jeopardies so that later on, if I have to think out Final Jeopardies, I have to think out Final Jeopardies. So, I'd rather not go 0 for 5. And then also depending on sometimes I'm surprised by some things like this,
But that kind of raises an interesting question. You're mentioning if you had a lock, you'd still be trying to get it right. And I remember during Alex Jacobs' run, he did something that's very much in character with him being a poker player, and I just absolutely loved the way he used poker things in order to win the Tournament of Champions, and that was oftentimes when he had a lock, he would just put down some nonsense thing, like in his final TLC game, thanks to all who worked on the greatest game show. We have no idea if he knew it or not, but it didn't matter. He had a lock.
Yeah, but I kind of, and especially to, I don't know, I mean, to me, I don't know, like, I kind of think that at least what he said was sporting. I guess in that sense, if there was something else that had been written on his panel, I would have thought like, that was kind of not a good, or like not a very sporting.
Yeah, I mean,
some guy in Normandy, but I just won $40,000 or something.
Oh yeah.
Whatever the guy said.
Yeah, so there was, but yeah, I mean, Alex in the finals was like, "What is good game, guys?" And thanks to everyone who works on the world's greatest game show.
Yeah.
And I think Vaughn put it well, and he referred to it as, I guess, spiking the football, going a little bit in terms of, I guess, the more showman type stuff in Final Jeopardy, whereas I would say Alex kind of just handed the ball to the referee when he got to the end zone, sort of thing.
But
So,
yeah, I saw it more as a poker thing. Like you don't have to show whether you were bluffing or whether you had the cards that would have beat him once the hand is over. And I'm not that familiar with his poker run. I kind of got into watching it on TV after he was done, but I'd like to think that he did that more than once in poker too. He doesn't show whether he was bluffing or if he could actually beat him.
okay, so once again, if you have any comments on this or any of the things we're talking about tonight, you are welcome to leave a tweet using the hashtag Jeopardy Live Panel, and I will likely read it out. Let's see. We were talking about Final Jeopardies this week. Did they seem hard to you? Did they seem hard to you guys at all this week? I mean, I looked at the J-Board poll, and they went 30, 27, 45, 52, and 72% this week. I personally went 1 for 5, getting Thursday. Did they seem hard to you guys as a whole?
I got 2 out of 5, and that's pretty much typical for me.
Yeah, same. I got 2 right. I thought Tuesdays was pretty hard, but I don't know anything about the Oscars, so I just guessed Clint Eastwood and was like, I don't know. That's like the best guess I've got, and it was wrong, so I'm just like, okay, whatever.
I remember during the taping, when I saw the Henry VIII one, I thought, oh, well, I knew what it was, but I kind of thought, I'm a huge English history buff, and I kind of thought it was maybe too obscure for other people, but Rob knew it right away. He was sitting next to me, and I thought, oh, okay, maybe it's not so hard. But then I think we were the only 2 in my general area that knew it, and most of us guessed Friday in the audience, in the contestant audience, but many of us got the reasoning to it in different ways. So I feel like that was a little bit harder, even though we ended up getting the right answer. So I don't know.
The only thing that I missed would have been the Oscar one, because I kind of was thinking of Argo and Ben Affleck and completely forgot about George Clooney and how did he win that supporting actor Oscar. Because but then again, that's my taste. I mean, when I saw what it was, I was like, oh. But I was a little bit shocked by Fridays, but this is something that's kind of been, because I thought that they said 1990 author and they said Mississippi, like there aren't too many. there aren't too many. That seems like it's kind of pointing right at the answer, and
sometimes that happens.
I mean, sometimes it happens. Yeah. Yeah, I know that sometimes you come down from your best, but still, I thought that was a little shocking.
But that's if you really know your literature, though. I mean, the only Mississippi author that came to mind, contemporary Mississippi author that came to mind for me is Eudora Welty, and she's not a man, so I had no idea. Whereas with the geography, when a lot of people on Thursday, a lot of people were misled, and I thought pretty quickly I got to Iceland.
Yeah, I got to Iceland
pretty quickly because I'm really good at geography.
I feel as though we need to get Marie's thoughts on Thursday's final, to be honest with you.
I am so embarrassed by that. I know what NATO is. I know the geography of NATO, but in the anxiety of the moment, the nerves of the moment, I went straight to NAFTA and never questioned it. So I turned NATO into NAFTA, and then I was a little lost. And of course, as soon as I got the answer, I thought, oh, of course. So that was.
And there was a Belize question earlier in the show too, wasn't it? So Belize might have stuck in your head.
I may have been a tiny bit primed, but anyway, that was embarrassing. But I know the Friday one that you mentioned. That's kind of how Rob got it. He told me that he just had an educated guess, and he feels like he was lucky. Now, of course, I know that it's because he's a smart guy, but sometimes you just feel lucky.
Well, I know I got Thursdays I was just like, okay, NATO, like the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, what's a really small country that would be in the North Atlantic, and I'm just like, oh, Iceland. So that's how I got that, but...
Good job.
Well, I got Thursdays very easily for a pub quiz I wrote, my jackpot round, where teams have to come in, basically make an educated guess as to the size of something and try to come as close as they can. And one of those happened to ask for the population of Iceland. It's like, I know the population of Iceland is about 330,000. Oh, look. Under 400,000. I know Iceland is a NATO member. And
that works.
That works really easily. That was also the only one I got this past week. Yeah, I mean, I slapped my forehead so hard when I got where I should have gone on Wednesday with the days of the week. Because, I mean, obviously Aphrodite, Venus, Vondrady, Friday. That's kind of where that was the path, and I plumb missed it. So.
And I apologize if I wasn't clear. That's the one I was talking about when I said Friday. I meant Wednesday's answer of Friday. All of us in the contestant room, most of us got it, but we got there by different paths, and most of us were just kind of guessing.
Yeah. It seemed like when Alex announced Vondrady at the end, I was like, oh God, I can't believe I missed that. So yeah,
and of course, French would be the Romance language that Alex would go through. Being Canadian, he wouldn't think of the Spanish or the Italian route. It would be the French route.
Yeah, I know. I went through Spanish. I was like lunes, martes, miércoles, and got to I believe it's viernes, and I was like, oh, that sounds like Venus, so I'll go with it. So I don't know.
Honestly, my thought was, what other days of the week would they ask about that make any sense? Really, that was all I was like. I bet this is Friday because it doesn't seem like. I mean, it's the only other one that like it would have been one of the weekend days, but neither of those made sense.
And my pathway was to think of I was just thinking something about Norway and Frida and the Norse gods.
Yeah.
So there are many ways to get to it, even if it's just a blind, educated guess.
So, I would say, sticking on the Thursday game, I would say you had a pretty good start to your game, Marie, and then you hit the daily double.
Thank you. Actually, I felt like the start wasn't so great. I wasn't doing very good on this signaling device, but yes, to the daily double. The first one was, Little Lord Fauntleroy. And I saw, Andy, that you tweeted, look, Little was right in the answer, and of course, you're right. Just so many woulda, shoulda, couldas, right? By
saying, oh, look, Little is right in the answer, everything else, Little was in the clue,
right,
for the most part.
Little
Women.
Stuart Little.
Yeah. And then it was like, oh, there's the. Then it was more of a, there's the Little, because I didn't get it either playing at home. I didn't get that one. I mean, obviously, I've heard of Little Lord Fauntleroy, but yeah, not playing at home. I also missed it, but.
Do you know what else mortified me about that is apparently, I didn't notice it at the time, but they came up to me afterwards during the break and said, don't forget to say what is. And that I was mortified because I teach a management class, and for reviewing the exams, we always do Jeopardy games. I have a little Jeopardy board set up, and I always tell them, phrase it in the form of a question, and if it's double Jeopardy, if they don't do it, they don't get the points. And so I was mortified that my students were going to see that I didn't say what is.
Yeah, I definitely noticed that myself, but I wasn't going to say anything. So I mean, to me, it seemed like you were having a lot after the daily double. It seemed like you were having a little bit more difficulty, and I mean, at the end, you got to play final, which was nice.
I got the what?
You got to play final.
Oh yes.
You were in the red for quite a bit in your game, and so I mean, I guess it must have been a good feeling to get out of the red and get into Final Jeopardy.
I guess, you know, it goes by so fast, as you guys know. A lot of those questions when I was watching it on Thursday, I didn't even remember them. I didn't remember answering them. I didn't remember any of it. So I think I didn't realize how much I was in the red on the day of the taping. So, which is probably just as well, because I did know I'm not getting this, I'm not getting in, or when I do get in, I'm sometimes answering it wrong. And, you know, the nerves were just getting worse and worse. So I'm kind of glad I didn't realize how much I was in the red, because then I would have been even more
The
nervous.
passage of time really does it. How long ago did you tape?
September 28th, so a couple months.
That was 3 months ago? 2 months ago.
2 months ago.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, you know, I guess now's a good time. I might as well ask. You obviously were the Thursday episode, so I'm going to ask what I refer to as the Ben Ingram question of all contestants. What did you have for lunch?
Oh. What did I have for lunch? I remember I had lunch with Rob, and he was amazing. And, I had a salad off the salad bar. And then one of the staff, I can't remember, it might have been Corinna, bought a bunch of like large candy bars and kind of put them on the table. And so I had one of those as well.
Somebody's okay. That's noteworthy. Kristen will be very happy to know that somebody else took one of the candy bars.
Well, maybe I shouldn't have, since I taped right after lunch.
You were still gonna say, Jason? Sorry.
I seem to remember. I think that I forget if it was Corinna, but I think that someone. I'm not sure if they do that regularly, but I feel like someone someone on the staff had bought a bunch of candy bars or something for us. I don't remember if I partook or not.
Was this during the regular games or the TLC?
Yeah, I think so. Or maybe I'm just misremembering this, but I feel like during the regular games. Yeah, during the TOC, I do not. I don't remember. I also seem to think that I think maybe Robert at the time kind of offered his fries to everybody.
I don't remember any candy, but my taping was like 4 years ago, so I pretty much forgot everything that happened. So
You forgot being in the greatest place on earth? Oh no!
kind of blur, I don't remember what I ate for lunch. I just remember the embarrassing questions that I missed.
Oh yeah, that's one thing. Just going back to the game, like watching my own games, I kind of sometimes was like, why didn't I ring in on that? Or wait, I said what? that it's a very it is sometimes you're just like, wait, I didn't know that really, or it just didn't come up with that at the time.
I've never been on, as you know, but one of the few things that I remember from my audition, which was only about 4 months ago now, no, 5 months ago. Anyways, one of the few things I remember was a couple of clues in the mock game that I missed, and I told my wife afterwards, I missed 2 geography clues, and she's been giving me grief about that ever since, because she knows how much of a geography guy I am. And that was just the mock game in an audition.
Yeah, I still remember couple of the questions I missed on the test they gave us at the audition, because I remembered those, like still remember what the answers were supposed to be, and I'm just like, why did I miss those?
You always remember what you missed.
Yes.
You remember your good stuff.
Well, it's funny. I mean, this is going off on a tangent, but I tell some of my tutees, I tell them if they're taking the SAT subject test in math level 2, I tell them this one question that got me, that actually had made it into other circulations. But then I also tell the flip side of this is I tell them about the one math question on the SAT that gave me a problem, and how I work my way through it.
It's good. Like that. I know there were 3 of the ones that I missed that I didn't ring in. I remember the puzzlers. It took me a couple of rounds to figure out a couple of questions to figure out what they were, which I feel really dumb about because they weren't hard. The left brain, I couldn't believe I didn't ring in on that one.
Nobody did.
The mushroom one, I knew the largest organism was a mushroom, but for some reason I thought he needed the exact name of the mushroom. And I told Rob later, it was a $400 question. I shouldn't have overthought it. And then the Lake District, I still don't know why I didn't ring in on that, but it happens.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, nobody rang in on the left brain question, did they? So
No,
that
I think rang in and said the wrong answer, but you're right.
was the first one uncovered too, wasn't it?
It was, yes.
Yeah, so that probably people are still kind of getting in the groove of the category, and that's the hazard when the writers are trying to be cutesy. It's takes a while for them to clue into it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so moving on a little bit more, my next question, I guess, another question I like to ask everyone who comes on, kind of tell us about your journey to the show. Like, how many times have you taken the test? When did you audition? Where did you audition? That sort of thing.
I'll begin.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, sorry, yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. I took the exam, the online exam in April, and I remember going to Facebook afterwards and, like, you know, I think David mentioned, you just think, oh, I missed that, and I missed that, and I missed that, and just, you know, beating myself up about all of that. And then they called me for an audition. I don't remember when I got called, but I went out on July 1st to Kansas City. So I live...
What time?
I'm sorry?
What time was your audition on July 1st?
I want to say 9 a.m.
Okay, so you were... I also auditioned on July 1st at 11:30, so...
Oh my goodness, so we were in the same building.
And
Yes.
I was in Kansas City on June 30th.
Oh, the day before. Okay, so we were all there at the same... Yeah, so my family lives in Kansas, and so I was hoping for like a Chicago or something since I'm here at Notre Dame, but since there wasn't, it was nice to be able to go home for a few days. And that was July 1st, along with 2 of you. And then I found out, I want to say very late August, that I would be taping September 28th. And my husband came out with me, and my mother surprised me by buying a ticket also. So yeah, that was. And one thing I do want to mention before I forget, you know, they coached us when we're talking about which, you know, I didn't know which story Alex was going to ask about, but I had an idea it was one of 5. And they did coach us that if they ask about the spouse, you should say his or her name. And I just completely forgot to do it at the time.
I thought you were going to say you completely forgot your spouse's name.
No, I didn't forget his name. I just forgot to mention his name, and I really feel bad about that. But yeah, that's it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for those of you who are watching, Alex does enjoy the spouse kind of stories. Yeah, so
One of the things I put on my 5 facts about me card, I made a point of mentioning how I met my wife. I figured that's the kind of stuff I see on the show a lot. For what it's worth, I met her at a Halloween party.
Like on How I Met Your Mother.
Oh, I haven't watched that show, so okay.
Okay. So, obviously, Rob has, spoiler alert, he's won a couple of games so far, and so, obviously, Marie, you've been talking him up as, you know, you were mentioning how smart you thought he was. So I guess, I mean, he's won 2, and time for me to bring it to wheel out what Carrie Green likes to call the retroactive jinx. So, what do we think Rob's chances are of qualifying for the Tournament of Champions based on what we've seen of him so far?
So retroactive jinx, meaning if I say they're great and then he doesn't, it's my fault?
No, it's completely my fault for bringing it up in the first place. So you guys are all absolved.
Well,
You haven't watched next week's shows in the studio, did you, Marie?
No, I did not.
Okay, good.
In fact, I didn't even watch Rob's. I wanted to stay, but my mother and husband had been very patient all that day, and I didn't know I wouldn't be able to communicate with them as soon as I got there. So we had been incommunicado, and we hadn't had a chance to talk about what's the plan. What are you going to have to do? So I think they were a little bit ready to leave. So unfortunately, I didn't get to see that one. So no, I have no idea what's going to happen. I just know he is there Monday, and honestly, I think he stands a good chance. I don't know. I have no reason. I have nothing to base that on besides a little bit of time spent with him, and I don't know whom he's playing. So for what it's worth, I wish him the best.
So the rest of you guys, based on what you've seen, do you like his chances of winning 4, 5, maybe?
I never know. People I watch and say, "Oh yeah, this guy's going to win a whole bunch of games." They don't even win their first game. So
yeah,
I hope he wins a lot. He looks pretty good. I can't really tell.
I mean, there's always like a few people that I get an instinct after seeing like a first couple games that they might end up in the TOC. Like Roger Craig was like that, for example. But most people, I just don't know. Like, I mean, I didn't even. I'll admit that Thursday's game was preempted by some football game or something, and so I didn't even get to see it. And so I didn't even see his first game. I only saw Fridays, and
you did excellent.
Like, nothing really like struck me about Friday's game, but that doesn't really mean anything. So I don't know. I think it would be great if he made it, but
I mean, yeah, it's as as I always used to say with this sort of question, it's all about the draw.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about the draw, and it's all about who's around, who's around when. So, I don't like to make predictions unless I mean, once in a while I get sort of the feeling in the opposite direction that, hey, this person is out of place and probably should lose. But, I generally don't like passing that judgment either.
Mm-hmm. Okay. That's fair. Now, my thought, he probably has a 50% chance of winning 3 games, a 25% chance of winning 4, 12.5% chance of winning 5. So that's
Andy, are you doing that with a loony?
No, I don't know if you ever remember this, but Nick Condon and I came about 3 or 4 years ago, just when I was starting to write for the Jeopardy fan. We sat down and we looked, and the average Jeopardy champion wins an average of 1 more game after their first victory. So the average a champion has a 50% chance of winning against the two random opponents. So that's kind of. And we did take a look at that from the end of Ken Jennings' run, because I know you guys get a lot of buzzer practice now as challengers. Is that correct? After lunch and before the start of play, right?
I'm not sure how I would define a lot, but we certainly got practice. Yes.
Okay. Now, by a lot, I also mean more than you used to before Ken came along and demolished everyone for 6 weeks.
I don't know. I imagine that's true.
So yeah, I guess my next one question I sometimes like to ask of people who were in the taping group: was there anyone who you thought in rehearsal might be a very strong player?
a couple of people. Bianca, I thought would be good. She seemed pretty quick. And then, like I said, I was sitting near Rob. If you're not sitting near someone and you don't get a sense of it, but he seemed to know a lot of the ones that I knew, and even the ones that I thought were more obscure. So, and then having lunch with him. So, I guess those two.
Okay. So I'm at the point now where I'm going to ask if any panelist has any questions for anyone else on the panel at this point, because I am through my notes, and
So I just kind of wanted to ask about airing on Thanksgiving, because I know I aired on the 4th of July, and all my friends were like, oh, I really want to watch you, but I can't because we have family stuff. So was your airing like that? Did you have everyone like, oh, I can't watch you because we have family stuff?
Well, actually,
my question area.
Nobody said that. They were like, oh, I'm so glad I'm going to be home to watch you. What we didn't anticipate until it was last minute and everybody was writing or tweeting or Facebooking me to say, they're not showing it on my channel. What can I do? And I had to try to figure out, in my local area, there was a backup channel, but most people didn't find that out until it was too late. For my family, they had to call the morning of, on Thanksgiving Day, they had to call their provider and switch to a different local from the Wichita to the Topeka, just for one day, which I thought, I hate dealing with those services.
And they let you do that for one day?
Apparently, my mom said, I said, wow, that sounds miserable that my dad had to do that. And she said, we told the guy the whole story, and he was very nice about it. So I guess he was rooting for my family. But yeah, the rest of my family, most of them said, gosh, I just couldn't find it. And so, I don't know, it was, part of me was relieved, to be honest, because I was nervous about them seeing me. But when I saw how disappointed they were, then I was kind of sad too. But, that's how it is.
I'm guessing you didn't have like a big viewing party at a sports bar or anything like that because it was Thanksgiving and everything was closed.
Exactly.
But on the other hand, you had everybody over for Thanksgiving anyway, so before we got the turkey, let's watch Jeopardy!
It was just Birdie and me for me, but my parents I have 6 little brothers and sisters, and they're all married, and several of them have kids, so a few of them were at my parents' house.
I was actually going to say, usually, you knew that the tape date was going to be the tape date. Was there any sort of accommodation that was made for, did anyone say, oh, we'll get you DVD or something like that in case you couldn't see it in your own area? Because I know that's got to be I know that that's something that, for various preemptions,
I emailed one of the staff on Monday, I could go back and look which one, and asked, I just explained the situation, and I haven't heard back from them. Of course, it has been a holiday week, so...
Kind of like now.
On the day, I know Alex said, which I didn't notice until I watched on Thursday, he said, when Giving Thanks came up, he said, very appropriate for today, and then there was a bountiful table. But on the taping day, I had no idea it was going to be Thanksgiving. I mean, like you said, I knew the date, but I hadn't calculated, oh, that means it's Thanksgiving, so I didn't catch on to that.
My episodes were at the end of the year, so I had a whole plethora of Christmas-related and Hanukkah-related and New Year-related categories. So I don't think that actually was, or did I? No, I actually think that my episodes missed Christmas Day. But yeah, it's definitely an annoyance. I was gonna say, did you watch yourself while you were making Thanksgiving, or?
A colleague of mine had invited us to his house. He had 30 or 40 people over. Wow. So we went, stayed for a couple of hours, and then excused ourselves early, and then just had Bertie and I just watched it privately, and I live tweeted it while I was watching it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I know it sucks to kind of watch yourself that way.
What time does it air in that market?
7:30. So my family, who got it at 5 Central, I'm in Eastern time, we're done watching it well before it started for me.
Yeah. Yeah. but so yeah, like my Thanksgiving tradition is to go to a local Italian restaurant that's open on Thanksgiving.
That sounds lovely.
So if Carrie Green is watching this, I had some Montepulciano d'Abruzzo, just so we.
So, if I'm not mistaken, you're someone who also gets Jeopardy at 7:30 in Eastern time zone. Do you get a lot of preemptions? Because I get a lot of preemptions.
Yeah, it's
Like, it
too
was
fine to
preempted every
prime.
Thursday for a while, and I can't watch it because of this or that, or like it seems like every couple of weeks I get preempted again. I'm just like, why?
I know it.
Clearly, you need to move.
Fortunately, I live in an area where there is a backup channel, but I know that's not true for everybody. So.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I mean, I also have a couple of backup channels, fortunately, so it's very rare for me to just completely miss a show. So, are there any other questions from anyone else on the panel at this point? The hashtag is coming up a little bit on the dry side at this point. Personally, I blame the football, either the Patriots game or the
Wake up.
or the Grey Cup. But
Dude, like the whole major sporting thing this weekend was Yuzuru Hanyu. I don't understand this.
Hey, I was playing Scrabble all weekend. So
You ask my dad, it was English Premier League, so
who does he cheer for?
he likes Chelsea and Everton.
Oh God.
I'll just say I didn't really realize this whole community of Jeopardy fans existed, so I'm really glad to have found you, or I'm glad you found me. Thank you very much for asking, and yeah, I think I'm excited to have found you guys.
And yeah, I think every time we find some former contestants is always exciting because, I mean, also it's great to kind of welcome people into the tribe, as it were, because there are people who love the show and love, kind of you guys have the camaraderie of having been on, and I know Glenn mentioned this to me at my audition. It's kind of like a family,
Yeah.
and
It is.
mhm.
Jeopardy people are very, very nice people. I mean, I'd rather be with a Jeopardy person than a lot of other type of people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, my
Oh,
only
Andy,
experience.
I just checked the score of the Grey Cup. It's Ottawa 20, Edmonton 18 in the fourth quarter, so
Okay.
pretty close still.
Yeah. I think yeah, that could make for an interesting finish. You were saying, sorry, Marie?
Oh, that's okay. My only experience before today with Jeopardy people had been in the auditions, and then on the actual day of taping with the staff, and of course Alex, and with my fellow contestants. And everybody who would ask me, what was it like after I got done, that's the first thing that came to mind was, like David said, everybody's just so nice, like unveilingly really classy, nice, friendly people.
Jeopardy people are like Canadians. I say this so often, but they are so much like Canadians. Very nice and polite, except for when you get them in a competition like hockey or trivia, and then the gloves come off.
Okay.
True.
Sorry. I would kind of agree with that as well. So I guess I'm gonna put out. Are there anything else anyone wants to say before I throw up the credits card?
Well, speaking of other competitions, I have to play Genie in Learned League on Friday, so
Oh.
I don't know. I guess it's going down.
I don't know. Two people whom I have referred to Learned League playing each other. That could be.
Happens to me all the time.
I'm actually playing one of my referrals in Arundel on December 7th. That could be interesting, especially because she is somehow up in 4th place right now, and it's like, I don't know if I can beat you.
I'm in D Rundle. Most of my referrals are now in B and C, and they're playing against each other. I've run across the odd boardie in D Rundle because it seems like all the boardies are in the same referral chain. All the boardies are referring each other.
Okay. So, on that note, good luck to you on Friday, Aria, by the way. Jeannie. Yeah, so if anyone else, so yeah, I guess we're good to, I'm good to sign off for the evening. So, for everyone here at the JeopardyFan.com and our entire panel, thank you all for tuning in and taking part tonight. Let's see, let's get the credits up. There we go. They look to be okay. So yes, for everyone here at the JeopardyFan.com, thank you for tuning in, and have an excellent rest of your weekend. We will see you next week.